Please be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Garcia versus Huffman.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Garcia, you claim that before your father's death, Ms. Huffman, who is 31 years younger than him and 6 years younger than you, contacted you claiming to already have one child by your dad and was pregnant with another. You have petitioned the court for a DNA test to protect your father's estate and his name by supporting what he told you, that he is not the father of the defendant's 2 daughters. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Huffman, you admit your relationship with the plaintiff's father was not a stable one, but claim you are certain he fathered your children. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Garcia, you claim your father denied paternity before he passed. Please explain.
Well, I'm basically here on behalf of my dad because he passed away about 2 years ago. He was not sure that if they were his or not because she had gotten around.
So the questions that remain have been unanswered.
Correct.
So, Ms. Huffman, it's your belief that Ms. Garcia's father did father both of your children?
Yes.
Tell me about your relationship with Ms. Garcia's father.
Well, we was just, me and my ex went to the carnival. That's when I first met Fred, which is the girls' dad. Me and my ex, which was my boyfriend at the time, we broke up, and that's when me and Fred had gotten to get around.
And so was it a committed relationship?
Yes.
You were?
It was on and off.
But it was on and off?
Yes.
And so when it was off, were you intimate with anybody else?
No.
So take me to the day you believe you conceived Claudia, your older child.
On March 17th of 2013.
And you all were dating, you hanging out together?
It was more like hanging out in a truck.
Hanging out in a truck?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, well, we're here to be honest and tell the truth. So you would hang out in his truck
And just goof around.
I'm sorry?
And goof around in the beginning, and then we got into the whole thing on how you get pregnant.
All right. At the point you found out you were pregnant, did you let Ms. Garcia's father know?
Yes, I did. And he sat there and told me that, no, that's not my child. That's whenever he got ticked off and mad at me.
So, Ms. Garcia, did you ever hear about Claudia, the baby was born? When the baby was born, did you know your father was expecting a child potentially?
No.
And you had a good relationship with your dad?
I'm very close with my dad. Yes.
And there was never a mention that there may be a child on the way and you may have a little sister?
No.
And how old was Claudia when you first heard about her, that she potentially could be your sister?
Around 2 years old.
2?
And she contacted me about it.
And what happened in that conversation?
She messaged me on Facebook and she said that she was pregnant with a child and that she had a 2-year-old daughter and that they were my dad's. And he basically said that, yes, that he was messing around with her, but he didn't believe that those were his children because she got around. He pretty much said that they weren't his.
And your father was alive at this time?
Correct.
And Claudia was 2?
Yes.
So in 2 years' time, your father had never mentioned to you once, there's a woman out here that either claims I have a child or you may have a sister. I mean, not a mention of Claudia, the child?
Well, I have 5 other brothers and sisters.
Okay.
And he's never denied them, always came straight forward. These are my children. I've known them since they were babies. Like, never had an issue about that. But then when, she was pregnant with them, I never knew about them.
Did you even know anything about Miss Huffman?
No.
And why are you crying now?
Because it hurts, because I want my kids to sit there and be around their family, not just my part of the family. I want them to know that they can sit here and talk to their sister, be around and get that bond. I don't want them going through what I went through.
And what did you go through?
Is not having my dad around. That's what I didn't want them to have, is not their dad around.
This is the first time I've seen her emotional about anything.
Really?
Yes. I never heard her really talk about wanting to know that they have a sister, wanting the girls to know they have a sister. And anytime I've ever spoken to her, it was always, you know, that the girls need help, that she needs help financially, and that she needed the DNA test done to prove that they were my dad so that she can get help from Social Security because he's deceased.
So there was a motive that was driven by a financial benefit.
Correct.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell.
When I spoke to him and asked him, you know, why don't you think these girls are yours? And he pretty much told me that one day she was at his house and he couldn't find her, so he went looking for her, and he saw her in the backyard with the neighbor, and she was giving him oral sex.
Whoa! Miss Huffman, is that true?
No, it's not.
Did her father actually catch you with another man?
No.
He did not?
No.
So when it was off, you weren't on with anyone else?
No, Your Honor.
So in your mind, there was nobody else. No. There's no other possibility when it comes to the father of your children?
No.
Because I will say, I saw a note in my case file here, and I'll find it. It says one of my court employees had a conversation with you that led her to believe that there were other possible fathers. Jerome, can you please go see if you can escort our court employee, Miss Avery Wilkerson, into the courtroom?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have you stand right here.
Okay. Hello, Miss Wilkerson.
Hi, Your Honor.
Thank you so much for coming into the courtroom today. I have a question for you about what you uncovered as you spoke to and interviewed Ms. Huffman.
While assisting the defendant, Ms. Huffman, with setting up a DNA test for her and her daughters, she unknowingly admitted that she tested another man in the past.
What did she say?
She said that she did not remember if she brought the birth certificate with her the last time she tested a man against Claudia. Which indicated to me that she truly does not know who the biological father of Claudia is.
Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Ms. Huffman, is it true that you had another man tested as it relates to the paternity of Claudia?
He was testing her.
But you allowed him to do the test?
Yes, I did, just to prove that she's not his.
Was this man determined to be the biological father?
No.
Pretty much what I've heard was my dad told me that she got around with all the, because he used to work for a carnival, and that she was messing with the other staff in the carnival, and that he didn't think that they were his because of the whole situation with the neighbor and then her messing with the people in the carnival. And I mean,
Ms. Huffman, were you having multiple relationships with various people who worked at the carnival?
No, I didn't.
Did this other man who wanted the test work for the carnival?
No, he did not.
And so I'm just not understanding why the testimony wasn't completely honest. If you had the test and he was not the father, I mean, in many ways that lends credibility to the fact that maybe Ms. Garcia's father is Claudia's biological father. See, when you tell a half-truth, I'm always looking for the whole lie. So I want to ask you again, you are in court, you are required to tell the truth. Are you 100% certain that Ms. Garcia's father is your children's biological father, or are there other potential fathers? What is the truth?
I know for a fact he's the father. He's the only one that I messed with.
Whoever this man is that asked for the DNA test, he had to have had sex with you because then he would know there was no possibility he could be your child's biological father. So, Ms. Garcia, has anything else happened that has furthered your doubt?
Yes. There's been a time where we were trying to cremate him, and the state of Michigan was offering to help us get him cremated for free. They were asking questions about his children. I listed her girls as my siblings.
You did?
Yes. And because when I did that, they wanted to have her sign a paper saying that it was okay for him to be cremated.
Right.
So she told me that she was not going to sign the papers.
But now you were, at this point, your father had doubt, you had doubt, but when they asked about the children, you listed her children.
Yeah, I guess it's because I'm a kind person. I want to believe that they are my sisters.
You do?
Yes.
So this is interesting. So the truth is that you have doubt.
Correct.
But you do hope that they are.
Yeah.
Because it's another piece of your dad.
Yeah.
But after she refused to sign, that furthered your doubt.
Correct.
Why wouldn't you sign the papers if you know your daughters are his biological children? Why did you say no?
I said no about that because I don't have the financial money to actually spend on that. I kind of thought that it was kind of like a trick, and I said no, I'm not signing.
I was not asking her for any money. I didn't know her. I wasn't expecting her to pay anything. And when we first went to a funeral home and talked about him being buried, it was around $10,000.
All right, so, okay, that lends credibility to what she's saying. So what are your hopes today? What are your hopes, Ms. Huffman?
To get the results for my kids, to be able to financially make it with them with their health issues and not having to struggle. I'm going without to do for them. There's times where I don't even have a phone because I'm putting it in for the kids.
Ms. Garcia, what are your hopes?
I hope that they are my sisters, and I hope to tell them about my dad and what a wonderful man he was.
It's beautiful. With that said, let's go to the results. Jerome? The first result is for Claudia. Because there wasn't a blood card available to test the DNA of the deceased Fred Sonicson, we performed a DNA test with his surviving daughter, Carrie Garcia. With that being said, the results determine if there is a viable relationship between the child, Claudia Huffman, and Carrie Garcia. The results read as follows. In the case of Garcia versus Huffman, it has been determined by this court the percentage of relatedness between Claudia Huffman and Carrie Garcia is the percentage of relatedness between Claudia Huffman and Carrie Garcia is 99.9%. You are related. But we still have a second result. This result is for Emily. In the case of Garcia versus Huffman, when it comes to 2-year-old Emily Huffman, it has been determined by this court the percentage of relatedness between Emily Huffman and Carrie Garcia is 99.9%. You are related. Those are your sisters. How does that feel to hear?
This is the first time I've really seen them in action. I've seen very few pictures of them, and Emily looks like me when I was a baby. And I'm glad to know that they are my sisters. And I would love to be in their lives.
I want you in their life.
That's just wonderful. How does it feel, Ms. Huffman?
It actually feels great.
Well, this is what's so wonderful You know, you all are, you know, relatively young, but you have experienced already the circle of life. You've unfortunately lost your father, and Claudia and Emily will not know their biological father. And those parts of life are difficult. Yeah. But there are always blessings we can find in the burdens that we bear. And one of those things is that you both had the courage to come here today to get this answer. And that changes the scope of Emily and Claudia's lives, because they're going to be able to know you and know so much about their dad. And you're going to be able to start doing exactly what you just talked about, which is you have so many things to tell them. I hope that you all begin a very special bond of creating this village for these children. We have counseling and resources for you. Hope you take advantage of it. They're beautiful, beautiful little girls. I wish you all the very best. Court is adjourned.